Why we do not reset alarms in compliance with city ordinance. Section 34-34 of the City of Lakeland, Florida Code of Ordinance states, the city, its officers, employees, and agents shall not assume any duty or responsibility for the installation, maintenance, operation, repair, or effectiveness of any privately owned alarm system. Such duties or responsibilities being solely those of the owner of the premise. Additionally, it shall be solely the responsibility of the owner of the premises to silence an activated alarm and thereafter to reset the same. Remember, LFD personnel are cautioned when making judgment calls to assist in resetting fire alarm systems. Anyone resetting an alarm system is assuming liability for the system at that point. It should also be noted to look at the history of the alarm so proper notes can be taken when it comes time to do the report as to why the malfunction or activation occurred. Local versus monitored systems. Local fire alarm. These systems operate by detecting the existence of heat, fire, smoke, or other emergencies and enunciating off-normal conditions locally on the premise only. They do not transmit signals to a supervising station. Monitored alarm. These systems operate by detecting the existence of heat, fire, smoke, or other emergencies, enunciating off-normal conditions locally, and transmitting signals off-premise to a remote, continuously attended supervising station. The remote supervising station then contacts our dispatch center to initiate response. What is a true-false alarm versus a system doing its proper job? A fire alarm system operates by detecting the existence of heat, fire, smoke, or other emergencies. If smoke is produced from someone burning popcorn in a microwave, and the fire alarm sounds because the smoke detector is tripped because of that smoke, then the fire alarm functioned as it was supposed to. While there was not a fire for the fire department to respond, the fire alarm system did its job. Thus, this is not a false alarm. It is imperative for the responding personnel to actually enter the building and verify that someone burned the popcorn and smoke was produced. A fire alarm capable of showing the alarm history will show that a smoke detector activated, and if it's an addressable system, will tell which detector it was. It's important to note that most of our modern fire alarm systems are addressable and will give you the location of that activation. It is important to verify rather than meeting someone at the door of the building and taking their word for it that there is no emergency. This method has been found to be used for people to avoid paying a false alarm fee. When responding to a residential structure, personnel should ask permission to enter the premise to verify the false alarm and to ensure there is no issue. It is imperative for the responding crew to consider alarms that have come in numerous times and/or things that do not seem right. While it is not expected for responding personnel to fully understand all of fire code, common sense will usually tell you when something is not quite correct. A few examples would include a local restaurant that has had numerous false alarms over the past few years, and every run report states that the employees say there was a power outage. Once again, this has been found to be a method to avoid being billed for the false alarm. If the power does go out, the fire alarm has a battery backup, and that should kick in, thus not interrupting the system and its function, and should not create a fire alarm. If this is truly the issue, the occupant needs to have proper maintenance on the electrical system and/or the fire alarm system to correct this problem. A second example is a local dormitory that has had numerous false alarms over the past few months, and all of the run reports state the cause was due to cooking. Normally, one would think the fire alarm was doing what it was designed to, and it was. However, upon investigation, the tenants were cooking in the dorm rooms on hot plates. Cooking is not allowed in dorm rooms per the Florida Fire Prevention Code, so while the alarm did what it was supposed to, the actions causing the alarm are not allowed by code, and these alarms should be billed. Remember, investigating the actual cause of the alarm and determining as much information to include in the report, and the ensuing inspector for that area is informed, will help alleviate the number of false alarms in which you will have to respond. How completing the report properly will help the Prevention Division bill appropriately. The purpose of tracking and feeing for false alarms is to decrease the number of false alarms the LFD runs. If the responding personnel takes the time to properly investigate the true cause of the alarm and thoroughly completes the reports, this will increase the likelihood of the appropriate billing for the alarm and the inspector having enough information to require the alarm to be maintained or other changes to occur to decrease the number of false alarms. It is important to distinguish the difference between residential and commercial properties on the report. Residential is single-family houses or duplexes. Anything larger, triplexes or greater, such as apartments, are considered commercial property. The Prevention Division has no jurisdiction in single-family dwellings or duplexes. If it is noted on the report properly that it's residential, then we know the inspector cannot follow up on the alarm and require any action. It is imperative that the reports show the correct address, including suite numbers and the correct name of the business. If they are not correct, the responding personnel should have dispatch make the correction. This is especially true of strip centers or warehouses with multiple tenants. It is also true of complexes with multiple buildings, such as Florida Southern College. If the report states dormitory, there is no way to identify which dormitory the alarm occurred. If the correct suite number and business or building name is not on the report, the alarm cannot be properly billed. It also makes it difficult for the inspector to follow up and require corrective action. It is important to select the proper or appropriate 700 code in the run report system. The system is designed to automatically determine if the alarm is false and billable. If incorrect codes are used, the billing will not be correct and the inspector will not be notified to follow up and require corrective action. Billing for false alarms is not for monetary gain, but rather to motivate citizens and business owners to properly maintain their alarm systems. We use the term false alarm as a blanket term for any response to a fire alarm activation that does not end up being an actual fire. The Florida Fire Prevention Code refers to these as unwanted alarms and provides the following definitions. Unwanted alarm: any alarm that occurs that is not the result of a potentially hazardous condition. Malicious alarm: any unwanted activation of an alarm initiating device caused by a person acting with malice. Nuisance alarm: any unwanted activation of a signaling system or an alarm initiating device in response to a stimulus or condition that is not the result of a potentially hazardous condition. Unintentional alarm: an unwanted activation of an alarm initiating device caused by a person acting without malice. Unknown alarm: an unwanted activation of an alarm initiating device or system output function where the cause has not been identified. Please refer to the LFD NFIRS 700 series guide that provides examples of the different types of alarms and shows which alarms are billable.